All right, thanks, Brandis. And earlier in the show, we heard from the mayor on the city's $16 billion pandemic budget, helped out a bit by federal relief funds. Here's how she summed up the plan earlier today at her address before City Council.
Our ultimate goal with this recovery and resiliency budget is to recover and develop Chicago into a safer, stronger, and more prosperous city in which people can take root in, raise a family, build a business, and make a better lives.
And joining us to discuss the mayor's budget proposal and other city business are Alderperson Ray Lopez, who represents parts of Chicago's South Side, Alderwoman Emma Mitz, who represents parts of the West Side, and Alderman Gilbert Villegas, who represents parts of the Northwest Side. Oh, and also Alderman Jason Ervin, who represents parts of the West Side as well. Welcome all of you back to Chicago tonight. I'll start with you, Alderman Ervin. A lot of new spending here over last year, but no substantial tax or fee increases. Can the city keep up this level of spending without big property tax hikes over the next few years?
Well, some of the spending that's been discussed as part of the ARP funding, I do not anticipate some of the spending that's happening to continue in the out years, but the fact that we do have additional $1.8 billion over the next 3 years is definitely helping to spend on what was presented in today's budget.
And Alderwoman Mitz, $1.9 billion coming from that federal relief funding, as Alderman Ervin mentions. About $1.2 billion of that will go toward paying down debts and deficits incurred under the pandemic. Is that the right balance, or should more of it go to programs to help those affected by the pandemic?
I think that we can look at both. As we go through our budget, I'm sure that there are going to be some recommendations, and we'll have to come together to see what is it that's most needed with the consensus of the council as we change those things. So I'm looking at some things may change. Not saying that we'll pay down. That was one of the concerns. Caucus members didn't want to see all the money being used to pay down debt. Instead, more money going to mental illness programs as it's on the rise.
So you're saying there's still some negotiating to do on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that won't be the final number that the mayor unveiled today if City Council does indeed negotiate this. Let's hear from the mayor earlier today on another initiative in this budget, direct cash assistance to 500 needy Chicago families.
We also propose creating a first-of-its-kind pilot in Chicago of a monthly cash assistance program for hard-hit, low-income households in need of additional stability, as well as expand legal assistance programs through the Legal Protection Fund and Community Justice Initiative. And let me pause for a moment. This cash benefit plan for our residents, if approved, will be the largest in the history of the United States.
It'll actually go to 5,000 Chicago families, not 500, as I mentioned. Alderman Villegas, this is something you proposed a while ago. What kind of impact do you expect this to have?
Well, thank you, Paris. So first of all, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, so I'm glad that this made it into the budget. The reality is that this is something that was proposed back in March and actually in an ordinance format in April. I consulted with the White House, with the Biden administration, to make sure that as the rules were being done related to the expenditures, that this would be an allowed expenditure. And the White House let me know that it was, and that's why I moved forward with the ordinance. I'm glad it's in the budget now, but we're 5 months past the introduction of the ordinance, which means that we could have been 5 months into a pilot program.
So are you saying the mayor didn't really collaborate with you on this?
Oh, no, absolutely not. She did not. She just took my language and incorporated it into her budget, which is very frustrating because my staff, along with our community partners, worked tirelessly to get some language together that would ensure that we're capturing as many people as possible within the city of Chicago. This pilot program, again, I'm glad it's in the budget, but I can tell you that the timing doesn't look good. It looks political. And I'm very frustrated that at this time, 5 months later, she's touting that this is the largest pilot program in the country, when in fact, this is exactly what I told her 5 months ago. Let's move forward so we can get people get cash in people's hands so that way they can recover from this.
All right, Alderman Ray Lopez, you've had your frustrations with this administration. The budget proposal calls for $200 million more into the Chicago Police Department this year over last year. Some of that for pay raises, back pay, and some of that for increased mental health treatment. Is that the right level to help stem the violence and stem the tide of retiring police officers?
No, this budget falls woefully short, Paris, of meeting the needs and challenges of the city of Chicago. You know, I find it amazing that the #1 issue facing Chicagoans, public safety, was glossed over by this budget, which is basically a collection of smoke and mirrors and lies to the people of the city of Chicago. To say no new taxes is just a play on semantics, because the city council last year approved 49 years of consecutive property tax increases in last year's budget. She doesn't need to say new taxes this year, because they're automatically going to be included last year and every year for the next half century. And while we're looking at all of the investments that are on there and the things that she took credit for, many of which began under Rahm Emanuel, there's nothing new or sustainable in this budget, despite the fact that she says this is about resiliency and recovery. The last 2 budgets have been $1 billion short when you look at spending versus revenue. And I'm sure we will see that trend continue during the last 2 years of her administration.
The claim that there's no new taxes has an important caveat, because, of course, property taxes will rise a little bit this year because of inflation, and that was set into the law last year. Alderman Ervin, smoke and mirrors budget here, or do these finances add up?
No, the finances are fine. The finances do add up. And I think that it's fair to state that we were in a pandemic for the last year and a half. And of course, we saw revenues decline during that period. And that was part of the ARP funding's necessity to replace some of the revenue that was lost. As relates to public safety, all of the investments that have been talked about today in the budget address really go to the core of public safety, because public safety just is not police officers in the streets. There are a myriad of issues that we need to think about that create the conditions and the challenges that therefore lead to the issues of violence and the issues of concerns. And to the point of adding additional police officers right now, there are 1,000 vacancies, sworn vacancies approximately in the budget. And plus with the attrition of the coming year, it's impossible to even fill all of the vacancies plus all of the attrition of moving officers out of the academy at 100 or 120 per month. So this is actually a realistic budget that is being proposed, and it's real because it invests in communities as well as invests in our public safety, all of which are going to work together to better the lives of everyday Chicagoans. Also, as it relates to our the income pilot program that was discussed, again, as I've stated in the past, I do have some concerns about just the handing out checks to individuals in such a way without any pieces of that or any accountability. I think that's something that we need to look at to get more deep into the details of it. When Alderman Villegas and I talked about it, was not openly supportive of it, but I'm also willing to look at it and see how it's going to improve the lives of people. But at the same time, we also must talk about doing the repair of many of years of atrocities in the communities. We look at John Bird's, we look at other concerns that actually have to hit Chicago that we need to address as well.
So you're talking about reparations there, Alderman Ervin. All right, Alderman Emma Mitz, part of those community investments, $150 million for youth programming, $85 million for violence intervention. Are these levels that are higher than typical for these kinds of programs, and can they make an impact?
I think that I'm grateful that the mayor included those programs into her budget address today. One particular one was returned citizens who have been returning home from being incarcerated. I think the 10 million that were put there probably could be raised a little more if we can find some opportunities for that. And then when we talk about young peoples, we have to, I'm always grateful to see programs that help our youth. And I don't think we do enough for our youth. Where we throw some fun in that, it doesn't necessarily impact people's Black and brown community, particularly in the Black community. And I want to see more programs working for them. They are our future. And we have to invest into them so that they'll be able to get out here and get these good paying jobs and be productive citizens and have that American dream. If we don't invest in them now, when will we start to? So yeah, I think that's a great opportunity to start with it, and I'm grateful for it. Always looking to see where we can dig in and even do more.
All right, I'm sorry to shortchange the other two aldermen here, but we are out of time, and I did want to talk about pot shops coming to downtown, but we'll have to talk about that later in the week. Our thanks to City Council members Ray Lopez, Emma Mitz, Gilbert Villegas, and Jason Ervin. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.